Something is shifting for you right now, and by the time this video ends, you are going to understand exactly what it means and what you need to do next. If you are a Gemini and you have been feeling restless lately, like something inside you is quietly rearranging itself, like old patterns are starting to crack and something new is trying to press through, then this video was made for you. A turning point does not always announce itself with drama. It does not always arrive with a loud moment or a clear sign you can read immediately. Most of the time, a turning point sneaks in quietly, through a feeling you cannot quite name, through a restlessness that does not go away no matter how busy you stay, through a slow and steady sense that the chapter you have been living is reaching its final pages. You are standing at one of those moments right now, and the 11 signs we are about to walk through together are going to help you see it clearly. Not with fear, not with anxiety, but with the kind of calm, steady confidence that comes when you finally understand what is actually happening in your life. Stay with us through all 11 signs, because the last few are the ones most Geminis never see coming, and they are the most important ones of all. Sign 1. You have been feeling restless in a way that is hard to explain, even to yourself. This is not the ordinary kind of restlessness, the kind that comes from being bored on a slow afternoon or from having too much energy and not enough to do with it. This is something deeper. This is the kind of restlessness that lives in your chest, that follows you from morning into evening, that is still there when you lie down at night and stare at the ceiling before sleep finally comes. You might have tried to shake it off. You might have stayed busy on purpose, filling your schedule with tasks and conversations and small distractions, hoping that if you kept moving, the feeling would not catch up with you. But it always does. And here is what that restlessness is actually telling you. It is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is ready to change. Gemini, you are a sign built for movement, for growth, for the constant turning of a curious and searching mind. When life tries to keep you in one place for too long, when the same routines, the same conversations, the same emotional patterns repeat themselves over and over without variation, something in you begins to push back. Not violently, not dramatically, just persistently. That restlessness you have been carrying is your inner self sending you a signal. It is saying that the version of your life you have been living has reached its limit. Not because that life was bad or wrong, maybe it was genuinely good for a long time, but because you have grown beyond it. You are not the same person you were when those patterns were first established, and your inner world knows it, even when your outer habits have not yet caught up. This is the first sign of a turning point for Gemini. Not chaos, not crisis, but a quiet and persistent inner stirring that refuses to let you rest in the old familiar places. The restlessness is not your enemy. It is your compass. It is telling you that a door is opening somewhere ahead of you, and your whole being is already oriented toward it, already leaning in that direction, already preparing for the walk that is about to begin. So instead of trying to suppress it or outrun it, try something different. Sit with it for a moment. Let it be present without pushing it away. Ask it what it is pointing toward, because this restlessness has a message for you, and the message is this: the turning point is not coming someday in the distant future. It is already here. It has already begun. And everything you have been feeling lately is proof of that. Sign 2. Something in your relationships has started to feel different, and you are not entirely sure whether that difference is a problem or a gift. There are people in your life who used to feel essential, who used to light something up in you when they walked into the room, and now the energy has shifted. Not necessarily in a painful way, not necessarily with conflict or drama, just quietly, gradually, unmistakably different. And there are other people, maybe newer connections, maybe someone who has been around for a while but who you are suddenly seeing in a completely different light, who feel more alive to you now than almost anyone else. This shift in your relational world is not random. It is not a sign that you are being cold or fickle or unreliable, which are accusations that Gemini sometimes fears because of the way your sign gets misunderstood. It is a sign that you are evolving. And naturally, the connections that align with your evolution are rising in importance while the ones that belong to older versions of yourself are quietly receding. This is what happens at a turning point. The people who are meant to walk with you into the next chapter begin to feel magnetic. And the ones who are connected to chapters that are closing begin to feel distant, even when they are standing right next to you. Gemini, you have always had a gift for connection. A genuine warmth and curiosity that draws people to you naturally. But at this particular moment in your life, that gift is being refined. It is being asked to go deeper rather than wider. Not all connections deserve the same amount of your energy, and some part of you is beginning to understand that at a level you never quite grasped before. You are starting to sense, sometimes without being able to fully explain it, which relationships are nourishing and which ones are draining, which conversations leave you feeling more alive, and which ones leave you feeling a little more empty, which people see you clearly and which ones are relating to a version of you that no longer fully exists. This is not about shutting people out or being judgmental. It is about becoming honest with yourself first, and then gently and compassionately with the people around you. The turning point that is approaching for Gemini involves a quiet but powerful reorganization of your relational world. Some connections will deepen in ways that surprise and move you. Others will naturally fall away, without bitterness, without blame, simply because they belong to a chapter that is ending. And that is not a loss. That is growth. That is the turning point, making space for what comes next. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Sign 3. Your mind has been working overtime lately, and not in the usual Gemini way where ideas come and go like weather, bright and fast and ever-changing. This is something more sustained, more searching, more serious. You have been thinking about your life with a kind of depth and intensity that feels new. Old questions that you used to skim past are now demanding real answers. Things you accepted without examination are suddenly presenting themselves for review. You are asking yourself, honestly, quietly, sometimes uncomfortably, whether the choices you have made are still the right ones. Whether the direction you are moving is actually the direction you want to be going. Whether the life you are building looks like the life you actually imagined for yourself, or whether somewhere along the way you started building something else without quite noticing the drift. This mental intensity is a sign. Gemini, your mind is one of your greatest gifts, quick, flexible, endlessly curious, and capable of holding multiple perspectives at once. But that same mind can sometimes skim the surface of your own inner life, moving too fast to stop and really examine what is underneath. Right now, something is slowing you down just enough. Something is asking your mind to turn its considerable power inward instead of outward, to look at your own life with the same sharp intelligence you apply to everything else. And what you are finding when you look is interesting. Not all of it is comfortable. Some of what you are discovering requires honesty that stings a little. Some of the questions you are asking do not have easy answers, and the old habit of moving quickly past discomfort is not working the way it used to. But alongside the discomfort, there is something else, a clarity that is slowly, steadily emerging. Like a picture coming into focus after being blurry for a long time. You are starting to see your own life more clearly, more honestly. And with that clarity comes the beginning of a new direction. This is how Gemini prepares for a turning point. Not through dramatic action first, but through a deep and searching mental process that eventually produces the understanding needed to move with real intention. The thinking you are doing right now, it is not circular or wasted. It is productive. It is leading somewhere. Trust the process of your own mind as it works its way toward the answers you need. Sign 4. A pattern from your past has returned to your awareness. Something you thought you had dealt with, something you believed was behind you, something you had carefully tucked away in a place where it could not bother you anymore. And yet here it is again. Not necessarily in the same form it had before. Maybe it is showing up through a different situation, a different relationship, a different set of circumstances. But something about it feels familiar in a way that goes beyond coincidence. Something in you recognizes it, even if you cannot immediately name what that recognition is pointing to. Gemini, this is not a sign that you have failed to grow, or that you are somehow stuck in an endless loop. This is actually one of the most important signs that a turning point is near. Because life has a way of bringing us face to face with the same core patterns, the same fears, the same blind spots, the same emotional reflexes, again and again, until we are ready to truly meet them and work through them at a deeper level than we have managed before. Each time a pattern returns, it is not identical to how it appeared before. We are different. We have grown. We have more resources, more perspective, more understanding. And so the pattern, though familiar, is offering us a new opportunity, a chance to respond differently, to choose differently, to finally break the cycle in a way that lasts. The pattern that has returned for you right now is not a punishment. It is not the universe repeating itself carelessly. It is a final invitation. It is life saying you are ready now. You have enough experience, enough wisdom, enough self-awareness to handle this in a way you could not before. This time you do not have to repeat the old response. This time you can see the pattern clearly enough to choose something different. Something better. Something that actually moves you forward rather than returning you to the same familiar place. The turning point for Gemini often involves exactly this. A reckoning with a pattern from the past that, once finally resolved, clears the road ahead in ways that feel almost miraculous. The heaviness lifts. The path becomes clearer. And you move forward carrying less than you did before. Sign 5. You have been craving silence in a way that is unusual for you. Gemini is a social sign. A sign that draws energy from conversation, from connection, from the bright spark of exchanging ideas with other minds. And you still love those things. That has not changed. But lately, alongside the usual social hunger, there has been a different kind of hunger. A deep, quiet pull toward stillness, toward being alone with your own thoughts, toward finding moments of genuine quiet in the middle of your full and busy life. Maybe you have noticed that you need more recovery time after being around people than you used to. Maybe social situations that once felt effortless are now leaving you a little drained. Maybe you are choosing solitude more often, protecting your time alone more deliberately, finding that the quiet hours are the ones where something important is happening inside you. Something you cannot quite access when the noise of the world is too loud. This is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that your inner life is asking for attention. It is a sign that the turning point approaching for Gemini is not just about outer circumstances, about what is changing in your job, your relationships, your finances, your practical world. It is about something deeper, something internal, something that requires the kind of quiet and stillness that cannot be found in the middle of constant activity. Gemini, the part of you that is craving silence is the part of you that is doing the real work right now. It is the part of you that is processing, integrating, sorting through old layers and making room for what is new. Give it what it is asking for. The turning point you are approaching will be navigated most successfully not by rushing or pushing or filling every moment with action, but by honoring the quieter rhythms that are trying to guide you from the inside. Sign 6. You have started to question things you have never questioned before. And that questioning, uncomfortable as it sometimes feels, is one of the most important signs that a turning point is near. Maybe it is a belief you have held for years about who you are and what you are capable of. Maybe it is an assumption about how relationships are supposed to work, or about what success is supposed to look like, or about what you deserve in this life. These are not small questions. And the fact that they are rising in you now, insistently refusing to be ignored, this is significant. Gemini, you are a natural questioner. Your mind has always been curious, always been willing to explore multiple angles and perspectives. But there is a difference between the intellectual questioning that Gemini loves, exploring ideas from a place of curiosity and pleasure, and the deeper, more personal questioning that is happening now. This kind of questioning goes to the root. It challenges the stories you have told yourself about your own life. It asks whether the framework through which you have been interpreting your experiences is actually accurate, or whether it has been limiting you in ways you are only now beginning to see. When those deep, personal beliefs start to crack and loosen, when the questions become too insistent and too honest to avoid, that is a sign that your inner world is getting ready for a significant upgrade. The turning point for Gemini is not just a change in outer circumstances. It is a change in how you see yourself and what you believe is possible for you. And that kind of change begins exactly the way it is beginning for you right now, with questions that will not go away. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Sign 7. Something creative or expressive inside you has been waking up, a part of yourself that you may have set aside for practical reasons a long time ago, or a part that is entirely new that you have never quite experienced before. Maybe it is a desire to make something with your hands or your voice or your mind, not for any practical purpose, not for recognition or reward, but simply because something in you needs to express itself. Maybe it is a renewed interest in something artistic or imaginative that you had forgotten you loved. Maybe it is an idea that keeps returning, an image or a possibility that lights something up in you every time you let yourself think about it. Gemini, you carry a tremendous creative gift. a way of seeing and connecting things that is entirely unique to you. Your mind moves in ways that produce insights and ideas that other people simply would not arrive at. But creative energy, when it is not given an outlet, builds pressure. It looks for ways to express itself. And often, just before a turning point, that creative pressure increases significantly. Because new chapters require new modes of expression, new ways of engaging with the world, new creative acts that match the person you are becoming. The creative stirring you are feeling is not separate from the turning point that is approaching. It is part of it. It is the energy of your new chapter beginning to express itself, beginning to find its form, beginning to ask you what you want to create next, not just artistically but in your life as a whole. Listen to that creative energy. Follow what lights you up, even a little bit, even in small and private ways. Because what you create in this period, what you allow yourself to imagine and explore and bring into being, is connected to the direction your life is about to take. Sign 8. The way you relate to time has been changing, and you may have noticed it without knowing quite what to make of it. There are moments lately when time feels different, when the past feels closer than usual, when memories you had not thought of in years rise up with a strange clarity and emotional weight. And there are other moments when the future suddenly feels very real and very near, when you are struck by a sense of urgency that you cannot fully explain, a feeling that something is coming and that you need to be ready. Gemini, this altered relationship with time is one of the quieter, but more meaningful signs of a turning point. Because at the deepest level, what a turning point really is a moment when the past and the future meet in the present. A moment when everything that has happened in your life up to now is about to be synthesized into a new direction, a new chapter, a new version of yourself that carries the lessons of everything that came before while stepping freely and deliberately toward something new. The memories that have been surfacing lately, they are not random. They are coming up because they carry information that is relevant to this moment. Old experiences are asking to be understood in a new light. Lessons from the past are presenting themselves for final integration so that they do not have to keep repeating. And the future that feels suddenly near and urgent, that is the turning point making itself known to you through time itself. You are not stuck in the past. You are not rushing blindly into the future. You are, right now, in the most important moment of all, the present moment where the turning point actually happens. And everything you are feeling about time right now is confirmation that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Sign 9. Your relationship with your own energy has been changing in ways that deserve careful attention. There are things that used to cost you almost nothing, situations, conversations, commitments, patterns of giving and doing and showing up, that now feel genuinely draining. And there are other things, perhaps quieter things, perhaps things you had not previously valued as highly, that feel surprisingly nourishing, that leave you feeling more alive and more yourself rather than depleted and hollowed out. Gemini, this shift in your energy awareness is important. It is your body and your inner self collaborating to send you a clear and consistent message. A message about what is aligned with who you are now, and what belongs to a version of you that is in the process of being released. When something that used to feel fine begins to feel draining, it is almost never arbitrary. It is information. It is life showing you that a particular way of spending yourself, a particular relationship with your time, your attention, your emotional resources, has reached the end of its alignment with where you are going. And when something that might seem small or quiet or unremarkable fills you with unexpected energy, that is also information. That is life pointing you toward what nourishes the person you are becoming, not just the person you used to be. The turning point for Gemini involves a deep and honest renegotiation of where you put your energy, not in a selfish way, not in a way that abandons your genuine responsibilities or the people who genuinely need you, but in a way that honors the truth of what you have to give, and that protects the well of your inner life so that it can sustain you as you move forward into the new chapter that is already beginning. Sign 10. You have been receiving messages, not necessarily in any mystical sense, though that is possible too, but in the everyday sense of life, sending you signals through synchronicities, through unexpected conversations, through things you read or hear or notice that seem to arrive at exactly the moment you needed them. Something catches your eye, and it turns out to be exactly the answer to a question you have been quietly carrying. Someone says something in passing and it lands in you like it was spoken directly for your benefit. You stumble across something, a phrase, an idea, an image, that feels less like coincidence and more like communication. Gemini, you are a naturally perceptive sign. Your antennae are always up, always receiving, always making connections between things that other people might miss. But right now, those perceptions are sharper than usual. The signals are coming through more clearly. And that heightened receptivity is one of the signs that a turning point is near, because turning points tend to arrive with an increased flow of exactly this kind of synchronistic guidance, as if life itself is trying to help you navigate the shift successfully. Pay attention to what you keep noticing. Pay attention to the ideas that return to you repeatedly, the conversations that seem to echo themes you have been privately thinking about, the small but somehow significant moments of recognition that keep occurring in your daily life. They are not accidents. They are part of the turning point's arrival, life's way of giving you the information you need, the reassurance you need, the direction you need, delivered through the language of everyday experience rather than through dramatic revelation. Sign 11. You are ready, even if you do not fully feel ready yet. Even if there is still fear mixed in with the anticipation. Even if part of you is still holding back, still waiting for a clearer sign, still hoping for more certainty before you commit to stepping forward. Readiness at a turning point does not always feel like confidence. It does not always arrive with trumpets or with an unmistakable sense of knowing exactly what to do. More often, readiness feels like this, like a quiet but unshakable sense that staying where you are is no longer truly an option. Like a bone-deep knowing that the next chapter is not something you are choosing out of bravado or impatience, but something that is genuinely calling you. Something your life has been building toward through all the experience and growth and difficulty and joy of everything that came before. Gemini, the turning point is not out there waiting for the perfect conditions to arrive. It is here now, in the accumulation of all the signs we have been walking through together. The restlessness, the shifting relationships, the deepened thinking, the returned patterns, the craving for silence, the questioned beliefs, the creative awakening, the changed relationship with time, the energy shifts, the synchronicities. All of it has been pointing here. All of it has been the turning point in the process of arriving. You are more ready than you know. And the step forward, whatever form it needs to take in your particular life, in your particular circumstances, is a step that the real and growing and courageous version of you is already prepared to take. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are. The turning point for Gemini is not a single dramatic moment. It is a gathering of quiet signals, a slow accumulation of inner and outer shifts that together announce the arrival of something new. You have been living inside this turning point for longer than you realized. And now, having named it, having seen it clearly for what it is, you can move through it with your eyes open, with your heart open, with the calm and steady confidence of someone who understands that change, even when it is uncertain, even when it is uncomfortable, is always the beginning of something worth having.